Okay. So Bibi asked, why do you choose to cheat even though you love Lee? Did you hesitate to choose that method, cheating, before actually did it? After that, does it take lots of effort to regain the trust between two of you? Thank you for answering. Why did I choose to cheat even though I love Lee?
It's from the start, right? It's before we even move in together.
Yeah. But I think it's the same issue, but there's two different aspects. Before I moved in Vietnam, and
before we start our lives together.
Yeah, but we already like had met a few times, and we kind of like agreed on being committed, being exclusive to each other.
Yeah, we already like officially together.
But I was still living in China, where I lived before, and the night before I moved to Vietnam, my friend organized a bye-bye party, and my ex, at this time a Chinese woman, came, and at night she came home with me, and we had sex just before I moved to Vietnam, and I always hid it to Lee, and even when she asked me about it, I lied to her. I told her that, like, she knew this woman was at the party, and I told her, no, of course not. We didn't have sex. Nothing happened. And so I chose to lie. I think because I thought it was easier to lie rather than face it and take the risk that she doesn't accept it. So
yeah, the question is, why did you choose to cheat from the beginning? Why did you choose to have sex with other women? Like, was it a choice? Or
from the beginning, yeah, it was not really a choice. I mean, of course it was a choice, but it was not like...
to you, it's just like, obviously you would...
Like, it was okay. Like, I told myself, it's okay. Oh, yeah, I remember what I told you. I told you when you asked, I said, what is in China stays in China, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, I believe that same thing that I talked about earlier, that if no one knows, then it's okay.
Then it never happened.
Then it never happens.
So to answer her question, is that it was never a choice.
Give me a second. And then then when after I moved in, and I cheated on Lee many times, I always convinced myself that I could not get what I wanted from Lee somehow. I had created illusion in which I used to live my daily life, and that despite her being like so loving and sexually very active and trying to be close to me so often, I would like believe that I'm frustrated and unsatisfied by our sexual life. That is actually not true for real, because when we talk about it, after I dropped all these illusions, and I see so many moments in which we had amazing life, amazing sex life, but I decided to ignore them and to believe what my brain was saying. So yeah, why I chose to cheat on Lee despite the fact that I love her is that I thought she couldn't bring me what I needed, but that was untrue, of course. Does that make sense?
I feel like it's not really the reason. It's just an excuse in order to allow you to cheat. But the true reason is that you were deep down having a lot of dissatisfaction in general. Yeah, like sexual or not.
Yeah, of course.
And the one of the you would find release in many ways, not just sex.
Yeah, definitely.
But of course, because the release that is external is never the solution. So of course, even though you try to find ways to satisfy yourself through drinking, through weed, or through porn, you would not feel satisfied, and then eventually it would come down to the sex. Like you were not satisfied with me in many ways, like like in many things in our household, you would be angry and upset and constantly aggress me with so actually that state is not only sexual, but it's actually generally in life. You already have deep dissatisfaction.
Yeah, it's true.
Because if you say to everyone that I'm not a sexual person, then I mean they will kill you. Because so but telling yourself this give you a kind of blindfold in order to feel okay with doing what you want to do. The same way you would have different excuse in telling yourself that you tell yourself in order to continue to drink and do weed and do useless stuff.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I actually, when I hear you sharing, I think what your brain tells you is not the true reason. Like if a person is actually living a satisfying life and knowing themselves and is fully aware of themselves, no sudden thoughts that Lee is not giving what I need, Eliott is not giving what I need, would be strong enough to drive that person to do something. It has to come from a deep dissatisfaction generally.
True.
With everything, right?
Yeah, that is correct. That is much more correct. Thank you.
And then the second part of her question. Does it take lots of effort to regain the trust between...
She asked me if I hesitate to choose that method before actually doing it. No, I don't think I hesitate.
Hesitation shows that you actually know what's right and wrong, but here you completely believe.
Yeah, I completely believe in my head. And does it take lots of efforts to regain the trust between two of you? So this is currently going on. I don't even know if Lee can trust me again in the future, but I'm doing a lot of efforts in a sense that I first want to debunk all the things that made me choose this way of life, and also recently in the last few days I've intended to fix my mistakes so that I can be in phase with myself, more integrate and true. About the trust, I don't know. What do you say?
I think like from the beginning, when I met you, it's been 4 years since I seek truth, and I never seek truth in someone else.
Yeah,
that's the path. It's not truth in someone else.
Yeah,
and I think it hurts you a lot when
it did.
when we were together, and I always tell you, it's not you that I care, that I seek truth or whatever I'm committed to. It's my own truthfulness that I'm committed to.
Yeah, and I always took it personally. I never saw...
You think that because she doesn't love me.
Yeah, I never saw the greater purpose of it.
Yeah. Now you know.
Now I know.
So because of that, yes, I am very surprised, very, very surprised that the person who lived with me went through so many things, that like so many my evolution in my own developments and on my path of finding truth actually turned out to be lying from the start But the more I find out and the more I ask you question, in order to get a true view, or like, I think we can never know the true view from our own perspective about someone else, but I try my best to regain this view of actually what was going on, because you built up a different image to what you were also.
Yeah.
So I try to find out these hidden things, hidden personality, hidden problems, and hidden reasons. And many of it is also the first time that you discovered with me, because you never knew it. You would bury it, or you would overlook it, or you would deny it so much that you don't even know anymore what drove you on this path of life. So as I discover reality, the truth, what happened with you, and where it came from and everything, is actually only to satisfy my own need to know the reality.
I understand that.
Yeah. And then as side effect, you also learn. You also learned about actually what happened, the real things that go beneath what you call is stress and frustration and addiction.
I had never understood this how essential it is to be true to oneself,
Yeah.
And
The
to
thing, the
pursue
funny,
truth
that's the
for
funny
yourself.
thing, because when we met, I talked so much about this. It's so it's such a passion of mine to share with people about this discovery of mine. But only now you actually start hearing it, because either you didn't understand what I was talking about, or you thought that you were doing the same thing. And so I continue on this path of truth. It's more important that, do I know myself every day? How am I reacting to all of this? What is blocking me? Have I embraced all the reactions that I'm having? Then to, how can I ever trust him again? Because it's really not important. I have kind of decided from the very start that it's not you that make up who I am. What you do. And of course, when we're together, just like if I'm together with a stranger in a shop, my only reality at that point is made up of what he tell me and what I tell him. And how I take it is more important than whether or not he's lying or truthful, because that's for him to experience and to realize and to pay. Like you have been paying, and I've been living in heaven, and you've been living in suffering, right? So for me, it's not about building trust with you. It's actually, I'm still on this path of truth, and very natural when big calling of mine is to take everyone that come across me on this same journey of seeking truth, of knowing what truth means, of embracing different part of themselves. And you, of course, you cross this path heavily, and you stay here. So it's impossible to ignore, or to shut you down, or to shun you away. And so what I have been doing and discussing with you and sharing with everyone is more to respond to this calling of truth than to build a relationship, or to trust you again in order to feel calm and peace with you. I don't actually rely on the peace and calm on any person or anything, not even my children or anything else like this, and Yeah, and even with discussing with you about this and pointing out the truth, seeing the truth, I also don't think I would put so much expectations in the fact that you have to realize or you have to change or you have to be different. Deep down inside me, I do wish, I do want, but what I want for you is the same with what I want for everyone who is watching the live stream, or people I don't know on Facebook, or anyone in this world, to know the truth and to be brave, to stand by truth side. So it's no difference with you, and it's not because you're the man, or you're the man in the house, or you are the father of the children. Yeah, it's more universal than that, and I feel that it's very strong. Like, if it's not you, maybe it's my dad or my mom or my sister, and if I had this life put me in a situation where I'm heavily involved, I would act the same way. Yeah,
as you've had before many times.
Yeah.
More question?
Yeah.
Dung Pham says, if you were to be in this situation,
this is to ask Lee, right?
Yeah. I want to. So Dung Pham wants to ask Chili a question. If you were to be in the situation, how would you, as a woman, go through this? Like, what would be your way of living if you choose when observing your partner living in their secret worlds? Hypothetically, they can't seem to get out of it yet. How would you relate to each other then? Thank you.
That's what we've been answering, kind of.
Yeah, so just to be clear, it actually happened.
It did happen.
It did happen. And the thing is, from my perspective, for 6 years that we were together, so let's describe a little bit about sex life. I'm very sexual person. Like, I have a lot of sexual energy and I love expressing it. I have no shame about it or inhibition. I had my part in my younger year, trying different things, dark or light, playing and having multiple partners, and exploring different taboo fields of sex. I cheated on my ex-husband. I lied. I regretted. I realized the lesson, and I chose to be truthful, to embrace the truth inside me, to embrace the sexual energy and live without restriction. Without restriction, but with wisdom and with knowing. Not without restriction means that I will just do whatever that it takes to satisfy me now. So when we met, Eliott and I, there was such difference in how we approach sexual energy. And now only I actually realized that the difference is in why I embrace sexual energy. And instead of choosing to use sexual energy as a form of trashing myself, or of like release stress, I actually use it to, it's like the wind that carry me, that makes me smile at life, and makes me paint, and make me dress and make up and create wonderful female projects and finding more liveliness within. Eliott would actually have been having also a lot of sexual urge, but trying to get rid of it.
Repress them.
Or either repress them because his mind would say it's not good, or trying to get rid of it in the way that, like, for example, through porn, through masturbation, or very violent sex, in order to get it all out, right?
Yeah.
And because of this different view, a different approach to sex, we had quite some problems in the beginning.
I mean, you mean for the first few years?
For the first few years. Like for example, if I would introduce, if I would dress sexy, like in very sexual outfit, Eliott would be turned off and want to sleep because he's stressed, like of the need to perform. His mind would start talking that he has to be good, he has to be amazing to match this image of this woman, right?
Correct.
And then many times when I would introduce a rope or like bondage and like some playful things, toys, and similarly Eliott would feel like it's not good and he has to hide it, even though he has so much urge. So it's constant conflicts inside this, and I would have to back off a bit, back up, and then be calm and be cool and wait. And I knew that, okay, it's not working, so I give up this need to play, to be playful. But then, of course, the urge inside Eliott is still there, and he doesn't know what to do with it. So he would, like, if he see me sexy in the house, he would be like showing me like gross face.
Don't do
You do it then. like it's like a monster that is seeing a prey to rape, you know. Like, I don't mind it, but it's the only way to approach a woman.
Yeah, my approach was brutal. It's true.
Brutal and kind of like you kind of have no love for the sexual energy that you were having.
Yes.
You just turn it, channel it into a way that is very raw and very like.
Yeah, like
it's like no
hunter.
mutual,
Yes.
no room to invite me in.
It's
actually, true. Yeah. So after a while, I refuse to participate in that. So we start having a lot of issue. But for me, it's no issue. Like, it was an issue, and then I learned to let go of this, and I was like, okay, whatever that Eliott's doing, whatever that Eliott wants to express, however sex turned out to be, is all right for me. Because I'm not going to be conditioned by sex has to be ideal, sex has to be great, whatever. So I became very relaxed with however he was. And I expressed that with him. And then actually Eliott took it personally and think that from now on, Lee doesn't want sex with me anymore. She doesn't care anymore. Whatever I am, she doesn't care. And again, he feel even lower about himself. When in reality, what I mean is now you have freedom. Now you can be anything. So to explain why we explain this is because as time passed by, I see that Eliott's more and more not happy with things around him, even though I think that we had quite an ideal life of joy, no pressure on finance, not because we are rich, but because I don't put pressure on it. We don't need a lot of money to live, and I'm willing to live poor if it must. And yeah, we living in beautiful city of Nha Trang by the beach and nature everywhere. We have our own. Yeah, our sun is amazing. We have our own car to
explore.
We have so much free time for each other. We don't go to work like 9 to 5. Like, I'm alive and I'm at home and I dress sexy every day. I take care of myself, my body. I'm open to him whenever he approaches me. So. And I encourage him and give him freedom to smoke, to do porn, to do whatever, no restriction. But Eliott's constantly irritated, and that would cause a lot of conflicts between us, because he would he would try to control, right? He would try to manipulate or control, like gain some control in the house. And sometimes if it's at the cost of me or at the cost of the child, then I will step up and I will say, no, I don't agree.
Yes.
Now you back off. And that's when it hurts you. So as this has gone on for like 6 years, and Eliott started complain more and more and more how he's left out, he's abandoned, he's lonely in the house, and he doesn't have enough sex. And I know it's not true, completely not true. So it came to my mind that this person actually is living in a lot of imagination and frustration, something that he has to work with. But I never felt that it's my job in order to drag him in and make him look, because I actually shared a lot already, and I trust in his ability to look into it. As we always end up like you thinking that you would reflect and you would look after we fight, and you realize something is not fair, and then you say, oh, you will look. So whenever he says this, I would trust that he's doing it.
Then I do it again a few weeks later.
Yeah. And then the same thing repeat. But because of this, I actually had kind of like a vision that this man actually would cheat and would have another woman, because he's so craving this fake love and fake intimacy and fake sex. Like if you hate sex and you say, no, I love it, it's fake, right? Because if sex come to you and you hate it, you feel sexual inside and you hate it, you want to either repress it or get it out, and you're not loving it. But then you say you love sex. So you're living in a big conflict. And with this kind of conflict, for sure, somehow life would lead to him having other women, or he would go search for other women. And I all along always had this vision, and it's not a kind of fear, not at all, but like a knowledge, like a acknowledgement that this would happen. This would definitely happen. So I actually told Eliott that I think you should be with other women to know and to learn about what true love is and true sex is. All the things that you dream of are in cages, are limited, are actually what drag you down. But you don't believe me, and it's impossible to know the light unless you've gone through the dark. So yeah, go and have other women and experience it. And then a few weeks before I discovered that he was having other women, I actually text him that I see that you are having another woman. I actually didn't see anything. I just like I didn't see physically, but I felt, and I wrote to him that I see you have other woman. This woman will give you everything you dream of, all the criteria of what you think makes your life complete, and you will learn a big lesson, very big lesson. And Eliott actually was so impressed because he was hiding from me. He knew all along what was happening. He was texting this woman. He was sleeping with this woman. He actually took the screenshot of the chat to save it, because whenever I'm angry at him or we have argument, I would delete everything that we have ever had in the chat. And he knew that this may come up again, so he took screenshot of the chat like a certificate. Like a promise. Like a promise from me. Huh? It's hilarious. So he saved it. And so to answer your question, Dương Phạm, how do I live? So all along this, actually the past few months, I've been very busy with Q-Fest, with Như Không, all these workshops that I get to organize after 2 years of COVID. But when I say I'm being busy, it's like working few hours a week, you know.
Well, except for Q-Fest.
Yeah, except for Q-Fest. But when Q-Fest actually came, we were busy the whole month. like activities, but also Eliott was like activities, preparing and all that. But otherwise, it's like few hours a week. And Eliott was keeping distance. Like he would sleep in another room. He would be cold if I touch him. He would say mean thing to me. Yeah, like he would be bitter if I actually tell him that he looks so handsome today. He would be so bitter. Like he would be like, "You never tell me this. I never know." So I know that he's having some kind of problem. But for me, life was beautiful and amazing, and I am aware that he's having problem, but I never felt that it's for me to fix. Before, a few years ago, I would panic because if my partner is having problem, then I will be dragged down and I will be the victim of it, and we're not happy again, and we're not in love, and we will have problems, and our relationship would crack. But it's been 2 years since I actually don't view myself as in relationship or in like on par with him. I actually accepted that he's not perfect, that he's not on the path of truth, that he's not walking the same path as me. So obviously he would be full of mistake, full of delusions, having up and down, being his own trauma and be addicted, and that's okay. It's not for me to change or not for me to fix, and I have learned to allow the person to be on their own path and to suffer their own thing and to learn from it. So because of that, I'm happy. Even when I know Eliott is having some sort of problem and he denies it, of course I would ask. It's not like I pretend not to know. I would ask, I would say it out. But he would, like for example, he would say, "I feel so depressed with my own life and this life is depressing." And I was like, "Eliott, you really think so?" So if he say yes, it would lead to a very deepening conversation that I would actually be there to listen and to understand and to help him see what's behind. But when I ask this, Eliott would be like, no, actually, I mean, I love this life. I just feel a little bit sad. Like Eliott would cover up. So
that is correct.
Yeah, and I would not run after it to dig or to pursue it. So all along, having in the back of my mind that this man would find another woman, I was still actually very calm, very happy. I found life was so amazing. Whenever I look at Eliott or our son, I feel like life and sunny and beautiful. Like just everything is just so beautiful. Yeah, I was living in completely like beautiful world, and then only we discovered, right? So when I discovered it, my first reaction is that's it. He made a choice and he's not with us, and that's it. But it's initial reaction, and then afterwards, I realized that if I don't expect a man to be a certain way, then why am I bothered that he's a certain way? Of course, when I say this, it doesn't mean that I'm not sad or I did not get angry or did not hurt, get shocked, or all these emotions. I think the one emotion I don't experience is blaming myself. Like I would imagine that other women in my shoes would blame themselves and finding faults, and maybe I'm not pretty enough, maybe I'm not sexual enough, maybe I'm not funny enough, maybe my English is not good enough, maybe my education is not good enough, maybe my body is not beautiful enough. But yeah, not my case. So I not in my case. I never doubt it, and I never doubt myself, and also because I don't count on these things to judge if a person is awake or not. Like if you're awake because your partner is beautiful, I think it's bullshit. So So yes, all the emotion comes up and I embrace them all. I allow myself to cry, to scream, to punch him.
Punch him.
Yeah. To punch him, to kick him, to embrace him, to make love to him, to whisper to him, to cook for him, like do all sort of like different ranges of emotion. Right?
Yeah.
And we kind of like accept that this is a storm and we plastic bag. And if the storm go high, we go high, then go low, then we go low. Manifest our emotion out, but actually deep inside me, I know what was going on. If I'm high, I'm high. If I'm low, I'm low. And I never doubt what's going on or resist what's going on. So so actually, surprisingly, it has its like this. But what do you feel? What do you feel about the past 30 days with me? Reacting and talking and like,
I feel like out of everything, I feel like we've been closer than actually ever before. And I also can see how emotions roll inside you and inside me. And one day you're gonna be close and sexy and wanting me and wanting to give to our family, and the other day you're gonna be depressed on the bed and angry or wanting to find out or feeling jealous or hurt or a lot of negative emotions. So it's been up and down very much. But I can see that, especially for the last 10 days after the second time.
Yeah, the truth is revealed in 3 episodes. So first you think that, oh, so this is how he cheated me with. Okay, so you get like, you take it in and then process it, react to it, trying to understand it, and then 10 days later, no, actually there's more. Like about three times until it's
done now.
Supposedly completely transparent.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like in the last 10 days, after I told you everything that I never told you or that I hid from you, that I lied about, I can see that actually you're closer and easily melted, and that the only time you actually feel so angry is when I lie again, when
you try to manipulate information.
Yeah, when we're talking and you ask me questions and you invite me into looking into why I did what or how or what I see, and if I try to cover up or if I say the first thing that my brain tell me, then you get so angry and hurt, and then it goes down again. But if I'm observant and observe my thought and don't get lost into my thoughts, then we kind of maintain a pretty high.
You feel closer again.
Yeah.
Like not closer, but like closer than before.
Yeah. We do.
Let me see her question.
Timley, she asked.
No, I want to see Zeng Pham, observing partner living in the secret world. Well, I didn't know he has secret world, and I thought that it's his freedom to do whatever he wants. But this is one way to check. If the freedom you're having, you're not comfortable to share, or you actively hide, that is not freedom. I just want to tell anyone who still mistaken freedom, because yes, you can be free and do whatever you want, but if you find yourself trying to hide it,
then it's not
free. Then that's not free. You're not being free. You are being a slave to judgment inside your head, and that judgment may come from many things that you need to discover about yourself. Like there's no shame of having sexual urge. There's nothing wrong about like feeling like low or wanting to escape. But if you don't recognize it and you don't embrace it, and because you don't recognize it, you become controlled by it or avoiding it, then you're not free. You're not free at all. You're actually under its influence. Yeah. So for now, because my interest has only about the truth, not like Eliott has to be truthful to me, but the truth of what's happening, what's behind this man's mind and his behavior, what made up this construction. And as I was finding it, I understand him more and understand more the deeper layer of things. Actually, we held each other and cried a lot. Like when I heard the full stories, the bigger scale of cheating that that you were in, I actually realized that, so actually this is deeply rooted in his upbringing and childhood. It's not something suddenly happened when we are together. Suddenly you decide that. But actually from very beginning, you had no clue what truth or lie means. And as we dig deep down into how he was raised, and I start, like before I took all his words as what I understand it is, like, I'm truthful. He always say, I'm truthful. I am, of course, I have only you. I love you. I admire you. All of this, I don't look deep into it to see what he means by it. But now when I was asking him in detail, what does it mean to him? It's all upside down. Like it's all wrong, based on manipulation. It's all based on manipulation.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not in its true form. So his idea of love, for example, is always in ability to control someone according to one's will, and that will must be good or bad or whatever, but the person, if he or she let you control, then that means it's love, something like that, etc. So we check all these concepts and all these definition, all these building blocks of how he would see life and react in life and deal with people. And then we realize that actually deep down inside Eliott is like hollow, like kind of lost for, like, don't know what's right and wrong, actually, right? Like you don't have clear directions of what's the correct path. Only like, for example, instead of asking for help, Eliott will always very scared to ask like for 30 minutes alone. And I always encouraged it. But if he has to cheat on me to go with someone else, then he would be so confident. He would come to me and talk like amazingly, like an MC on the stage, to talk about how much he needs his time alone, one night alone outside the house. And it would be like, yeah, great. Finally, you could ask for what you need. But actually, when he needs help, he cannot ask. Only when he needs to lie and manipulate, then he's bright and blooming.
It's very sad.
Yeah, and then we read about how childhood trauma caused people inability to ask for help, and the only way to get what they want is through manipulation, not honest asking of help. So we like, as I look more and more into it, I see what's been going on. So there's a lot of empathy and compassion towards this hollowness inside Eliott. But yes, the path has to be walked by him alone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at question of Chinglei. Chị Ly, did you feel hurt or betrayed when you first found out? And during this conversation, does it trigger you talking about this, or when you hear it from Eliott? And during this conversation, if it does, do you just use self-observed method to process your thought, emotion? Thank you both. Yeah, of course. Like I said, a lot of time my mind will start running through and start putting puzzle together, and then something doesn't fit because it's new reality, or the new past, the thing that you thought you knew before, now it turned out different, and then there'd be something that doesn't fit, and I would ask Eliott about it, and then sometimes if it fit, then it's okay, but sometimes it doesn't fit, then it drives me crazy. And a lot of time I would realize all the things that he showed or said or promised before turns out like complete lie, like lie to the face. Then yes, it would be very hurtful to that moment, that minutes, or that second that I realized that, oh, that thing that he said to me that year, that day, actually was a lie. So then many moments of realizing, oops, it was a lie, oops, it was a lie, oops, it was a lie. I would ask him why. Was it a lie? Like I would ask million questions around it to try to understand what was going on inside him, what was going on, why he made that choice, blah, blah, blah. And the good thing is Eliott fully collaborate. Like he really tried to collaborate to give me at the most that he can or he know to give information. So so that I'm satisfied with reconstructing the broken pieces, whenever I feel an emotion that surge up, I would allow it, but usually emotions and thoughts are interlinked. So when the thought comes, it would trigger emotion, and if you're so carried away with the thoughts, if I am so carried away with the thoughts, of course the emotion would go more and more and more and more crazily. But for me, if it's simply thoughts, like simply random thoughts that trigger pain and hurt and jealousy or whatever, or bitterness, and it's often that I can brush it aside and look into reality, like look at this moment now and enjoy life. But sometimes when it is a truth that needs to be unlocked, something that is hidden, crooked, it's not just in the surface it looked like it's a truth for me, for my own curiosity. But as I learn to trust my intuition, usually it is something Eliott also blinded about. And when we discover this truth, we uncover another misunderstanding of Eliott about certain concept or definition of life or sex or relationship or intimacy or values. Yeah. So it's very, very strange, because what I just told you is that two kind of reaction. One is from random thoughts that trigger emotions. This I can brush it aside. It's just like nya nya nya. But another one is something that is crooked, that needs to be opened up and look deep inside. Then that would bother me, and I would not be able to brush it aside or forget it. I can live in the unknown. But I feel that I have to debunk it, decode it
to the end.
Look at it, look at the essence of it. And that takes a lot of courage, because it means I would have to ask him question, detailed question, and hear him describing his moments with other women, many of them. But you could see that what I'm more keen in searching.
The truth, of course.
Yeah.
It's to unveil the truth. I can totally feel.
Yeah. And it's funny that the truth kind of soothed me, in spite of all the actions that Eliott does.
The path is difficult and it's hurtful. especially when you ask me questions and I actually I don't really know.
Yeah.
So I usually choose to follow what my brain tells, and then is other lies, and then sometimes it takes forever.
Yeah. I would be very hurt by how another lies come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I read, okay?
Yeah. Wait.
Mint. Yes, I know.
You know, as we're looking at this, people don't know what we're reading.
Yeah. Sorry.
So you can read it out.
Min says, you're a really lucky person when you're staying with Chile. Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. I'm very aware of that. And Min also says, if Chile don't control Eliott, he thinks she'd not love him. Yeah, that is also correct, Mint. There was something inside this.
I realized I hate sex too, but I thought I love it. Thanks for your conversation.
Yeah, I don't think I hate sex at all.
You always say you love sex,
Yeah,
and you always think you love sex.
It's about repressing my feelings, my needs. But do you feel like I hate sex? Like,
no, I think you're a very sexual person, but how you treat your sexual energy is full of hate.
Yes, that is correct.
Like when you repress it, it means you're not proud of it.
Yeah.
But if you love something, you're proud of it, no? You know?
Yeah, but it doesn't...
Like, do you think I hate sex or not proud of sex?
No, of
Not
course not.
proud
You're
of
so
it.
free and open about it, and transparent.
Yeah, it's like, and then so first is that part when you repress sex. Secondly is how you spend the sexual energy. In a way, it's like it's a tool for you.
Yeah.
But you don't. If you embrace it, it's actually you could ride it even more beautifully. Maybe I compare it to motorbike. You love the motorbike and you take care of it and you maintain it, and you don't just use it so that it's trashed and it's done and it's thrown away, right? But the way that most people, not just you actually, most people I can observe that they either not proud of their sexual urge or sexual energy, or they try to release it as quick as possible so that they get rid of it.
Yeah.
But if you love something, why you get rid of it? It's like having food. You love this food, you actually savor and you feel every taste, and you're like, right? And you garnish it or whatever. Sometimes you're hungry, you can eat very fast too, but that shouldn't be like
The standard.
Yeah, it's the standard. But everyone who's just like, nom, 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 I love food, and it's swallow and not chewing and not feeling any taste, not taking time to feel how
it's
it.
a waste, right?
Yeah, like I don't think that's love food. No. Okay, next question. You read.
So Diep Pham ask, what do you think about Lee? Eliott, is there anything you do not like or want Lee change? So you're asking me if there's anything I would like to change in Lee, or that I don't like?
And what do you think? That's two questions.
And what do I think? I think Lee is an amazing being. I can see how she's here on earth to spread the goodness and love. And I've in the past felt a lot of resentment for her, and I feel very regretful about it, because I know it's only based on illusions that were in my head. And recently I've been seeing her, or some part of her, more and more truthfully and more real. And I keep being amazed at her every day. For anything she touches or does or says, I'm completely in love and in awe at her at all time. So to answer your second question, there's nothing I would like to change or not like, because even simple things I told her, for example, for years it was for me, I got so annoyed how every time I walk in our bedroom there is her clothes everywhere
on the floor,
and and I had put hooks, so that she can hang her clothes,
and I hate hook.
And she keep like every day,
like
everywhere on the floor.
My panty would be here, my bra would be here, my dress would be there.
And I told her like hundreds of times that I wish she could like make rooms to walk or to keep like a little bit of hygiene standard. And then one day she told me, but you don't understand. I don't throw my clothes on the ground. It's just when I'm standing and I remove my dress, and the clothes beautifully fall on the ground and just stays there, and I love it. And she told me this, and after that I was feeling so stupid, and like, of course, my want for her to change this habit of hers, it completely disappears. And because it's stupid, I recognize how what she does again is like beautiful and pure and full of love, and it's like this with everything. So no, there's nothing I would like her to change. Yeah, but I also told her that in the past 6 years, every time I've had something that I don't like, I've tried to tell her, but in a way that is not transparent and not calm. I always used to keep it inside until I burst, and I tell her in a violent or aggressive way. And that also hurt our relationship a lot, because not only I kept resentment, but then when I approached her about it, I was violent. So I'm making sure right now that as soon as I have a negative feeling about anything I can see she does or I feel from her, I would be honest and transparent right away with her about it. That's one of the commitments I made.
Instead of keeping it inside or
instead
mocking,
of suppressing it. Yeah. Instead of suppressing it or keeping it inside. Yes. Your live stream will end in 5 minutes.
Yeah, in 5 minutes the video will end automatically, because we can only live stream for 2 hours. But we can still talk, and if needed, we can do another one like after this.
Okay. So more question.
So Chang ask, do you feel guilty or hate yourself now when you look back? How do you deal with those uncomfortable feelings?
That's a very good question, because I've been talking to Lee intensively about it. Yeah, I feel a lot of hate and guilt and remorse and anger and sadness about what I've done, especially from the moment I realized that it was all based on delusions and my imagination. And not only I hurt Lee, but I hurt my family and I hurt myself by denying my true self and my needs and my wants, and by making myself sick and being untruthful with Lee and also many other people in my life. So yeah, I do feel a lot of guilt, and it comes up every day, and it's been quite hard to look at myself in the mirror, even to look at my eyes, because I feel very ashamed. And I talked to Lee about it many times already, because it's very intense, and it's with me at every moment. And I even try to make it disappear by like suppressing it again a couple of weeks ago. But Lee could point it out right away, and she told me to actually just acknowledge it, recognize it, and live with it, and that I shouldn't expect that it goes away anytime soon, and I should give it the time to be and to happen and to experience it in my body. So I feel less scared about it, because it's been so intense that it's actually scary.
Okay, it's only scary when you suppress it.
Yeah.
If you look at it in the eyes, it's like, so what? It's just a phenomenon.
Yeah. So now, especially this last 10 days, I just live with it, I accept it, and I let it happen. I let it happen inside me. I let the feeling come and go, and I don't have any expectation or want, or I don't want it to disappear, or I just live with it, and it's okay. Does that make sense?
So Chingle asks, have your sex needs ever not compatible, meaning only wants need more and the other wants need less? And how will you handle that situation?
Talking about need, huh?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think you will talk better about it. There's one thing I want to say, is that in terms of need, the only thing that I feel we encountered about need is that I had deep down the need to use women sexually, manipulate and abuse, and at firstly, in the first few years of our relationship, she accepted it. She let me do it. But at some point, when it became
the only way,
when she saw that it was the only way that I would express my sexuality, she told me no. She told me that it's not gonna work.